I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice.
Do your own research.
Consult a professional investment advisor before making any investment decisions.
This show is for entertainment only. Faites vos propres recherches.
Here we are
in another episode
of the Simple Success Podcast.
And
this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective.
Previously on Simple Success.
multiple sources, multiple sources, multiple sources, multiple sources. Oh, that old idea again? Again? This week? Oh, not just this week, my dear DT, but last week and the next 3 weeks too. At least.
And now, just like with a previously on thing on TV, we take you directly to this week's episode.
What's that noise?
You mean?
As you like it.
Hang on a second, John. Hang on, my dear DT. Good. Just a little bit more. There. Yeah, it moves. It moves? That's a good thing, right? What do you mean? I mean, my dear bastion of deviant tulips, that it is supposed to move, right? Or not. Wait a minute. What's that noise now? Is that duct tape? Yeah, it was, Mr. Genius. Why? Why what? Why did you just use duct tape? Because it wasn't supposed to move. Oh, I get it. You're being an engineer. Yeah, I am. Just wait till I get to spray your photographs. Or not, as you said earlier. Oh, don't worry, I won't spray your pics. I'll just organize them. As one of your income sources? Perhaps. In my experience, it's something I should not ignore. Oh, you have experience? Even though you're only 3? Ever done something for 3 years, John? 3 is experience, just like round is a shape. True that, DT. I assure you, I do not wish to argue with that thinking. Fear I not about that. As well not you should. But our point this week is not that. Well, okay. In your experience, it then is what?
It is experience.
Kind of a Heisenberg principle thing then, is it? A little, I suppose, in the sense that having experience means having experience. And experience tells us that in this case, that we really ought to have at least one MSI. Or 2 or 3 or more would be even better. So that we can do some of the things that we can imagine but don't have time to pull off. Yeah, like if I imagined a way to make some money from, say, electric cars. Yeah, but you didn't have time to pull together the details on your own. Right, and stepping through some more, then I ran into someone who had both the passion and the time. And then our listeners, could toss in our brand and our experience. And make a win-win out of it and diversify our skills.
So having experiences can guide us towards innovative ways to generate income.
Yep, they can, Arthur. Innovative ways that increase our safety net, too, instead of threatening it. And ways which draw upon skills that we may already have. That's fascinating. It also says here that I'm supposed to ask you, can you elaborate on how you did that? And I must say that you are phenomenally convincing. Thanks. However, I have always appreciated structure and organization, so I organized and categorized my photos into different themes. Okay, I'm starting to see how this is going to tie in. And you don't have to do that just yet. No, I don't, but question, how did that lead to generating income? It did because I leveraged the skills I already had. You did? Yes, I leveraged my engineering skills to set up an efficient system for printing, packaging, and shipping the orders. And then you built your customer base and collabs and stuff? Yep, and before I knew it, I had a reliable income stream alongside my regular job, which was a great start to a life full of fun. Not to mention the part where we used the spray gun. Oh yeah, well, methinks we talk of that none. Why, this is most definitely good for someone so young. I'll think about that during
Break number 1.
Hello, everyone. This is John with the Simple Success Podcast, financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Because we know you want to show us some serious love in return for the tremendous benefits you get from us, please subscribe to us in your favorite podcast player. You can find us on both the App Store and the Play Store because our message is for everyone. Leave a rating for us, or even better, tell a friend. Whichever you choose, thank you so much for helping us do this for you. To leave us a written message, which just might lead to more in a future podcast, go to those same written show notes to find our subreddits. There is also our Facebook group page, Twitter, and other ways which we'll tell you about from time to time. You can also find an Easter egg every so often, so listen closely. Thank you again, and keep those constructive ideas coming.
Enough is what I am believing we are short of.
Enough what?
Enough examples.
Agreed.
Oh, so you want more?
I do. We do. You know what I mean.
Yeah, I do. But we still need to step through things.
Oh, okay.
So how do we do that?
First, we take the time to identify our skills and experiences. Por ejemplo.
Yeah, Serge, you go. All of us want concrete steps to follow.
And here's one right now. If you had a career as a manager, then you could use those very same skills to become a teacher and pass on that experience.
Yeah, assuming, of course, that you taught people when you were their manager.
Yeah, assuming that, since some people really do it.
And so then, what you are doing every day in this MSI world
is really nothing more than what you were doing before you got into that.
It's just in a different place.
With different people.
And someone different paying you for it.
Yes, which, of course, is the most important part.
So it's independent?
Independent of what you do most of the time. MSI number one, if you will.
Yeah, where I spend most of my time for my primary income.
I have now understanding about this.
Which you're doing because you already love it.
Or we hope so, at least, if you do it a lot.
Yeah, so John?
Yes, DT?
If this thing you do...
This thing to bring in money, you mean?
Yeah, that thing. Wait, are you saying that it doesn't have to be the same thing that you do all day?
That's what I'm saying, because it doesn't.
Then why did it up you bring?
I did that as a starting place because most people would be comfortable starting there. It's simpler.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay. And then what?
And then I ask you to consider even more ways.
Ways which?
Ways which have absolutely nothing to do with what you do all day.
So they're even more of a stretch?
No, not even that.
Not even a stretch?
No, my dear son of DT's dad. You are simply removing limitations you've put on your own thinking.
I did that to myself?
Not just you, my friend. All of us do that. We all sometimes skip over some of our own really good thinking.
But of course.
This is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective.
And that means that we understand that we can monetize from what we already know.
Among other things?
Yes, among other things. In addition, for example, to happiness and patience.
Pausing and thinking. So there's good to be found.
In the so-called gig economy.
If you want to find it.
If you look for it.
Looking no further sometimes than your own experience.
Such as?
Such as the engineer who organized photographs to create a thriving side hustle. Or maybe a fitness enthusiast who becomes a certified personal trainer.
The first being a less obvious passion, and the second being seemingly very obvious.
Seemingly, if the fitness enthusiast knows about MSIs.
So now you got me thinking some more.
Which is exactly the point. You've got to think and then visualize.
Yeah, and then take action.
You're on it, DT. Like what action?
Like other financial actions. Buying stuff you might not usually buy.
Or practicing ideas you're not sure you should even try.
Slowly and carefully.
Until you develop the experience you need.
Which leads to the confidence you also need.
Yeah, to go along with an idea. To go from making a list of stuff you should sell
to promoting the 30th anniversary of your Antiques television show.
You gotta start somewhere, he thought to himself.
Yeah, you do, Matthew. And there's more than just a modern idea of side hustles.
There is?
There is, whatever. Lots of things came before that, like affiliate marketing, for example.
Oh yeah, where you cross-promote stuff and get credit for it.
Yeah, with some things to watch out for, but it goes back further than just that even.
As far back as life itself?
I don't know that for sure, but probably. Whether it's handmade crafts, custom-made jewelry, or unique vintage finds, there is a market for almost anything.
Almost anything, yeah. You just have to take the time to play the right note.
in a manner of speaking. Because if you don't, you might miss out on something that's right in your, what's the word I want? Wheelhouse? Yeah, that's the word. Oh, don't miss out. That would make anyone sad enough to cry. Cry, yeah. And then we'd have to ask, do we start with who or do we start with boo? That's funny, E.T., but you know what to do. Yeah, I guess you're right, John.
He said with a mew.
I did. But for now, let's hear
Break number 2.
We know a lot about you already because we know ourselves. For example, we know that you know how to listen to our podcast. We also know that you probably know how to subscribe. So as soon as you're done with that, tell us your story. We have ways you can contact us. It involves a special link where you can leave us a message. We may have an email address for you as well in the future, and we'll let you know if that happens. The reason for subscribing? I thought you'd never ask. When you subscribe, you automatically download all future episodes of that podcast. It just happens in your player without you having to go search again. How cool is that? This means better rankings for the podcast, more attention from advertisers, and more money. And this means more and better stuff for you. So your motivation is simple and easy. Subscribe today, whatever app and from whatever place you like. And don't just try to subscribe. There is no try. There is only do. We're changing the way we look at things, and remember, that's good. Eso es bueno, Sybil. Also remember, this is financial life coaching from a happiness perspective. Coaching happiness. Our call to action is right in the show notes. Find it, and you win too. Can I simple that? Por supuesto. Of course. Just simple it.
Please make sure your seatbelts are fastened and your tray tables are in their upright position.
And make sure simple is a verb like Google is a verb. So you mean to say that something like inventing the Antiques Roadshow can be a side hustle? Oh, DT, I'm not just saying that. I'm believing stuff like that. But that's a really well-known show. It couldn't have just happened.
Au contraire.
Yeah, really, DT, it could have just happened. Now, I admit I don't know the details in that particular case, but it could have started that way. And your point is that I can also start something? Yes, you can. 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 MSIs can be anything, not just things like investing in stocks, bonds, or other financial instruments. But that can be an MSI, right? Absolutely, and it can be a very good one. You do as many things as you can, knowing that some of them will pay off. Have you done such a thing? I have, DT. Want to see? I do, but this is an audio-only podcast so far, so that wouldn't be exactly fair, would it? Perhaps not, but it is important to visualize. Right. So visualize this. In your mind, visualize this, as DT said, a big wheel. Not a literal wheel like a car wheel, but a picture, a circular graph.
I'm not trying to make doubting Thomases out of y'all.
Napoleon Hill Court detected.
Don't worry, Daniel, you won't. And in this wheel, I have a bunch of spokes, one of which is this podcast. The Simple Success one?
Simple Success.
Yes, the Simple Success one. It's at the center of my wheel, in fact. And around it? Around it are the ideas that could become MSIs for me. You should do that too, and all of our listeners should do that. And I can help. Help with things like ideas for different types of marketing, for different audiences, or maybe the same types of marketing for different businesses. Because you can and should have many. And you can keep trying new ones until you are happy with the results. Because if you're not happy with your results, then you have to change what's going on in the mind that you have. And don't worry your pretty little head, DT. We're going to spend a lot more time on that. Practicing. Great. Practicing to get better. Awesome.
Which is how you've all gotten good.
Gracias por escuchar.
Salut. À la prochaine.
No robots were harmed in the making of this podcast.
This podcast and our other podcast are productions of Little Red Hen Industries. The supporting cast who helps me bake the bread includes
Techno King, John Brandy, Alter Ego, Doubting Thomas, Fact Checker, a small brown beef animal, really tiny. Facts are important but are also easy. Social Manager, Abraham Lincoln, Media Expert, Augustus Caesar, Psychologist, William James, Sound Designer, Adobe's Creative Suite, Language Consultant, Leah, the French do-your-own research lady, videographer, Ertaman Koshki, audio props, Les Paul, inspiration, many podcasts and other sources, and of course Napoleon Hill.
We also have websites, and you can subscribe to both podcasts. You can even send us a video, audio, or text message, but of course, you'll have to head to the show notes, either on your phone or on the web, to get the links and stuff.
And before we forget, the artificial intelligence or AI voices that you hear in our work are offered up by Google, Amazon Polly, and OpenAI, like we say in the show notes. They don't sponsor us yet, but we love what they do, and we just love what AI can do when lovingly crafted.
Finally, you can find us on podmatch.com, matchmaker.fm, Podbooker, and Podcast Guests, where we consider guests and consider guesting on other people's shows.
And really finally, our music comes from Cute by Ben Sound and from Piano Background by Nick Simon Adams. Thanks also to AI MuseNet, Suno.ai and Ace Studios. The sound effect credits go to Jackson Academy Ashmore, Canoe CG, Dr. Jekyll, Joe Payne, Everything Sounds, MK Play More Stories, ERH, Sand Emotions, Big Pickle 51 and Just Kidding. Yes, that's his or her name. All on freesound.org. Also, languages are the bomb.
Paul.